So I'm going to share with you 4 steps in transforming your sinful thoughts and habits into patterns of life that are pleasing to God. 4 steps. All right? Step number 1, and this is in your notes. Guys, we need to start off by understanding the purpose of our life. Why are you here? Now, I don't mean why are you here at the Iron Sharpens Iron conference in O'Fallon. I don't mean why are you here in this seminar, although the answer to both of those could be some interesting discussion. But I mean, why are we walking planet Earth? There is a purpose to your life. There is a reason why you're here. In the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes, we read the story of a guy named Solomon. Now, Solomon goes on this massive quest to try and find meaning and purpose to his life. So he tries to find satisfaction and fulfillment in money, in things, in relationships, in pleasures. I mean, he runs the whole gambit. Now, at one point during his search, he pens the words of Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 14. Here's what he said. He said, I've seen all the things that are done under the sun, and all of them are meaningless, the chasing after the wind. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever wondered why you do things that you do day in and day out, again and again and again and again? Well, Solomon, no matter how hard he tries, no matter how much money he puts into the bank, no matter how many things he accumulates, no matter how many friendships he develops, no matter how many pleasures he pursues, he just can't quite grab hold of meaning and purpose to his life. Now, here we are thousands of years later. We look at it and we say, well, duh, he was looking for it in all the wrong places, right? Guys, I have a question for you. Where do you typically go? What are the things you typically pursue to try and find meaning and purpose to your life? And how's that going for you? Are we any different than Solomon? This means no, guys. No, we're not. We're not any different. At the end of his search, Solomon makes this one final, very powerful declaration. This is in your notes. In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13, Solomon says this, Now all has been heard. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep His commandments. Fear God and keep His commandments. This is the whole duty of man. In other words, and this is also in your notes, meaning and purpose to life is found only when I focus my entire being around glorifying God. Only when I focus my entire being around glorifying God. In 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 11, Peter says this, God in all things is to be glorified. Now listen to that. 1 Peter 4:11. God in all things, God is to be glorified. In Isaiah chapter 43, verse 7, it says that God formed, He created, He designed, He made each and every one of us for His glory. Now guys, just think about this for a moment. The Almighty Creator of the universe designed you to glorify Him. It's programmed within your very DNA. We are to glorify God. In fact, in your notes I have this point. When we are doing what God created us to do, that is when we will find real meaning and purpose to life. When we're doing what He created us to do. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 17, Paul says, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus. Most of you are probably familiar with 1 Corinthians 10:31. It's in your notes. Paul says, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it what? Do it all to the glory of God. Do it all to the glory of God. Now I have a question for you. I want you to respond out loud, please. Loud enough so that we can hear you. Here's the question. According to that verse, according to 1 Corinthians 10:31, how much of my life, how much of your life is to glorify God?
All.
All of it. Would you circle the word all in that verse? Circle the word all. And now let me ask you another question. Respond out loud to me. How would you define the word all? Everything? Okay, pretty good, accurate definition. How about this? All means all, and that's all means. When you see the word all in 1 Corinthians 10:31, it also means that even the most mundane, non-spiritual things that you think and say and do should glorify God. Whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God. Guys, you do know that God is all about His glory, not ours, right? The next verse in your notes is Isaiah 48, verse 11. Listen to this carefully. God says, for my own sake, I do this. How can I let myself be defamed? I will not yield my glory to another. Just a few chapters earlier, in Isaiah 42, verse 8, God said, I am the Lord. That is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols. Isaiah 42, verse 8. So step number 1, to transforming our sinful thoughts and habits into a pattern of life that's pleasing to God, is just to simply understand the purpose of my life is to glorify Him. So when I'm doing what He created